This is the brand new Lenovo Yoga 7A 2-in-1 for 2026. And for around $1,200, you're getting a 2.18K OLED display, 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy, and a Yoga Pen Gen 2 using Wacom technology. Now, Lenovo also makes a 16-inch version that actually starts cheaper at $849, but the 14-inch is the one I have here, and it's what we're focusing on today. So thanks Lenovo Yoga and AMD for setting this out and sponsoring this video. So the Yoga 7A 2-in-1 is Lenovo's mid-range convertible. It's running AMD's new Ryzen AI 400 series, specifically the Ryzen AI 7 445 from the Gorgon Point family. Both models are expected to hit shelves sometime in Q2 2026. So we're looking at a spring or early summer launch. But we gotta talk about the design because this is a 360-degree convertible. You got your standard laptop mode, tent mode, tablet mode, stand mode, all the usual stuff. But Lenovo added something new this year called Canvas mode. And this is designed specifically for drawing and sketching. It positions the display at a more natural angle for pen input, kind of like propping up a sketchbook. I'll show you that in a second. The 14-inch comes in at about 3.09 pounds or 1.4 kilograms, so it's pretty portable, definitely light enough to throw in a bag without thinking about it. And speaking of bags, Lenovo has this new Yoga tote sleeve accessory designed for this laptop. It holds the laptop, the charger, the pen, your earbuds, and it actually folds out into a laptop stand, so it doubles as a portable setup. It might be sold separately in some regions, but it's a nice idea. Now we gotta talk about the display, and look, this is easily the best part of this laptop. You're getting a 2880 by 1800 OLED touch panel. That's 2.8K at a 16:10 aspect ratio, so you get that extra vertical space for documents and web browsing. It refreshes at 120 Hz, which is the sweet spot for everyday use without destroying your battery. But here's what's really impressive. Lenovo is claiming 100% DCI-P3 coverage, delta E of less than 1, and peak brightness of 1000 nits. And look, I was able to confirm all of this using my display calibration tool. For context, delta E less than 1 means the color accuracy is basically invisible to the human eye. That's the kind of spec you see on displays that cost way more than this. And look, on this 14-inch OLED, it's generally one of the best panels I've seen at this price. If you're doing photo editing, watching content, or just browsing, it looks phenomenal. It just shows you how far OLED has come and how affordable it's getting to put great panels in laptops like this. And because this display is so good, let me show you something. The Yoga Pen Gen 2 comes included in the box. You don't have to buy it separately. And look, that's a big deal. This is a Wacom powered stylus. So you're getting proper pen technology, not some cheap capacitive stick. A lot of competitors either don't include one or charge 50 to 100 bucks extra. So Lenovo is basically saying, hey, we know you bought a 2-in-1, so here is one. You get to actually use it straight out of the box. And you can see right here, this is me sketching in Adobe Fresco. The pressure sensitivity is working, the strokes are smooth, and on this OLED display, the colors just pop. Fresco's live watercolor and oil paintbrushes react to how hard you press in real time, and it looks beautiful on this screen. This is also where that canvas mode I mentioned comes in. It props the display at a more natural drawing angle, and it does make a difference. And then for the more practical side, this is OneNote. Like, you start handwriting, annotating documents, quick sketches during a meeting, this is where most people are actually going to use the pen, and it works great. So the display and pen together, that's really the core of what makes this laptop special. All right, the processor, and this is the catch I mentioned at the start. The Yoga 7A is running up to AMD Ryzen AI 7 445. This is part of the AMD's Gorgon Point family, basically a mid-cycle refresh of the Zen 5 platform. And I need to explain what that means because it does matter. The 445 is a 6-core, 12-thread chip on TSMC's 4nm process. But here's the key detail. It uses a 2+4 configuration. That's 2 full Zen 5 performance cores and 4 Zen 5C efficiency cores. The performance cores boost up to about 4.6. The efficiency cores top out at around 3.4. But why does this all matter? Because last year's Yoga 7 2-in-1 used the Ryzen AI 7 350, which is an 8-core chip. So we've actually gone from 8 cores down to 6. And the core mix has shifted towards efficiency rather than raw performance. So here's the thing. In sustained multi-core workloads, the chip is going to be about 10 to 15% slower than the 350 or the higher tier 450. That's just the reality of having fewer performance cores. I ran a full suite of benchmarks, and I'm gonna throw all the numbers on screen right now so you can see everything at a glance. So the single core score of 103 in Cinebench, actually pretty respectable. That's why the laptop feels snappy in everyday use. App launches, opening documents, general responsiveness, no issues there. But the multi-core at 556 tells the other side of the story. It's noticeably behind last year's 8-core chips, and the Firefox compile at 64 minutes really drives that home. If you're doing anything that hammers all the cores for an extended period, this chip is gonna make you wait, except for Photoshop. Puget Bench came in at 6721, which is actually pretty solid. Photoshop leans heavily on single core, and the 445 handles that well. So for photo editing, totally capable. Premiere Pro was a different story. 2108 is on the lower end, and it makes sense. Video editing hammers the CPU and GPU at the same time, and with only 4 compute units on the Radeon 840M, it just doesn't have the horsepower for serious video work. The GPU numbers, Time Spy at 1960, Steel Nomad at 210, those are kinda low. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The Radeon 840M is RDNA 3.5, but with only 4 compute units compared to 16 on the higher end 890M. Like, I fired up Overwatch, set it to low at Full HD+, and I was getting around 90 frames per second. And honestly, that's not bad for integrated graphics on a 2-in-1. You're obviously not buying this laptop to game, but if you want to unwind with something lighter at the end of the day, it can handle it. And I think that's something a lot of people need to hear. The marketing doesn't really highlight this. Like, on paper, Ryzen AI 7 sounds like an upgrade from last year, but the 445 is actually a different tier of chip than the 350 it replaces. It's more about efficiency rather than raw power. Now, the flip side is battery life. AMD designed this 2+4 layout specifically for efficiency. They're claiming up to 24 hours, and that's obviously their best case video playback number. But the efficiency focus should translate to generally good battery life in the real world. Like, you pair this with 70 watt-hour battery and a 65 watt USB-C charger, I was easily getting a full day use out of this laptop. And here's the best part, is that even when things are under full load, even when I was playing Overwatch, the fans were never too loud. All right, let me run through the rest of the specs quickly. Memory up to 32 gigabytes, that's soldered onto the motherboard. So whatever you buy is what you're stuck with. Choose wisely. Storage goes up to 2 terabytes on a PCIe Gen 4 SSD, not Gen 5, but for what this laptop does, Gen 4 is perfectly fine. Ports, and look, this is actually really solid for a 2-in-1 at this price. 2 USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 ports at 10 gigabits, 1 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 at 5 gigabits, an HDMI 2.1 port, a 3.5mm jack, and a micro SD card reader. You don't need a dongle for most situations. Unfortunately, no USB 4.0 either, which at this point in 2026 does feel like a missed opportunity on an AMD machine. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely worth mentioning. Speakers are a 4-speaker system, 2 woofers, 2 tweeters. For a 2-in-1 at this price, it's solid. Webcam is 5 megapixels with IR for Windows Hello Face Unlock, plus you have a fingerprint scanner if you want to use your finger to log you in. Okay, so this is what the 5 megapixel IR camera looks like. You guys let me know how it looks, and more importantly, let me know how the microphones sound. And the trackpad is 90 square centimeters. I honestly have no complaints. In fact, the keyboard itself is probably one of my favorite features about this laptop. You know, like, it has a 1.5 millimeter travel distance, and it just feels so clicky. You know, there's a nice little concave dish to it that I really enjoy typing on this. So here's the bottom line. The Lenovo Yoga 7A 2-in-1 is a really compelling package at this price point. The OLED with pro-level color accuracy, the included Wacom pen, the solid port selection, Wi-Fi 7, a decent webcam, and look, I'm not trying to oversell it either. The Ryzen AI 7445 is a step down in raw performance from last generation. I mean, you saw the numbers, but you are getting better battery life. And for someone who's taken this to class or being outdoors all day, that makes a big difference. Like, if you're a student, a professional who wants this sort of versatility in an everyday machine, and you just have all these great ideas that you need to sketch and draw down, and you're gonna be watching content, you get to do this on a 2-in-1 with a gorgeous display. Either way, if you're interested in checking this out, I'll place a link to it in the description down below. Obviously, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.